Hello, and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today we are going to be talking about Maria Feodorovna. Now, you're probably wondering, who is she? Why am we talking about her? Well, if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notification. Also, please subscribe. This is episode 193, and we are talking about people of history today. And we are talking about the children of the father-in-law of Europe. But yes. Now, eventually, we will get to Queen Victoria, the grandmother of Europe, and talk about her children. Now, this will be a brief episode. I am doing my best to keep it as brief as possible because your time is valuable and so is mine. But Her Imperial Majesty, the Empress Maria Feodorovna of Russia, was born at the Yellow Palace in Copenhagen. That was originally titled Prince Dagmar Schleswig-Holstein, Sonderburg-Glucksburg, and she was the second daughter of an impoverished branch. Of the Danish royal family, and she rose to stature when her father was declared heir presumptive of the Danish throne in 1852. Now, Princess Dagmar's marriage prospects improved considerably when her eldest sister Alexandra was betrothed to her future husband, King Edward VII, in 1861. And her father acceded to the throne as King Christian IX in 1863. Now, she won the alliance that would eclipse even her sister in 1864, and she was betrothed to the Russian Tsarevich, Nikol Tsarevich. And now the poor chap died of meningitis a year later, and declared in his deathbed that his sincerest wish was the princess to be married to his younger brother, Alexander. Now, this she did in 1866, having converted to Russian Orthodoxy, which she would read for future Tsar Alexander III in the imperial chapel of the Winter Palace. As Grand Duchess Maria Feodorovna, she would hold court in the Nikolov Palace for 15 years, dazzling the Russian people by her assiduous learning of the language and devoting her time to leading society and patronizing imperial charities. Now, the Grand Duchess was careful to exclude herself from politics, with one exception. Like her sister Alexandra, Maria Feodorovna was vehemently anti-German, following the annexation of the Danish territories by Kaiser Wilhelm I. In 1881, tragedy would strike Russia when Tsar Alexander II was killed by an anarchist bomb. And the Grand Duchess wrote in her diaries this um that his legs were crushed terribly, and open the knee, a bleeding mass from half a boot in the right foot was only to the sole of the remaining left. Now the Tsar died hours later, and the Grand Duchess became Empress of all Russia. And she was to write about our happiest and serenest times. My peace and calm are gone. For now, only ever to worry about Sasha, her husband, her husband. Now, the Empress would reign was blighted by assassination attempts and on her husband and the imperial family, and they lived outside St. Petersburg um, under constant guard. Now, countless plots to kill the Tsar was thwarted by secret police, and including one that led them to hanging Lenin's older brother and co-conspirator. Now, despite living under the shadow of an assassin's bomb, knife or bullet, the Empress was a popular consort as a bright, beautiful presence in the Chatami of the Winter Palace. The Kremlin and Crimean Summer Palaces in Lavinia, and tragedy would strike again in 1894 when Tsar Alexander III died unexpectedly of neuritis, and the throne was left clear for their son, Tsar Nicholas II. Was declared, what's going to happen to Russia? I am not prepared. Indeed, he was not. True words have never been spoken. Now, the new Tsar's choice consort was deeply unpopular with his mother, Princess Alex of Hesse, Darmstadt, which showed signs of melancholy hysteria, crippling shyness, and she was already turned down British heir apparent Prince Albert Victor and showed marks of reluctance to convert to Russian Orthodoxy, as was required by Russian Grand Duchess. Following the death of Tsar Alexander III, the Dowager Empress relented um, and allowed her son to marry Princess Alex, the woman the Russian nation would blame for igniting the flames and explode into the Russian Revolution of 1917. When the First World War was declared in 1914, Tsar Nicholas II opened hostilities with cousin Wilhelm II of Germany. His disastrous decision led to the Russian army left St. Petersburg under the regency of Empress Alexandra, who was under the influence of a mad monk Rasputin. And the Empress believed Rasputin could preserve the life and hemophiliac son Alexei. It allowed him to appoint ministers and lead the cabinet in absentia. Now, the Dowager Princess, Empress, could do nothing to break the bond between Nicholas and Alexandra, and was watched from the sidelines while the dynasty crumbled and navigated. Only saw Nicholas once the abdication before being compelled to flee to his days in Lavidia. Maria Feodorovna refused to leave Russia, even when the news were telling her about the entire imperial family having shot in the basement. She was only persuaded to flee Russia when King George V sent the HMS Morrow to rescue her. And what was left of Romania. The Dowager Empress never returned to Russia, and she lived in exile as a guest at Dowager Queen Alexandra de Marlborough House in London and Sandringham House in Norfolk. The sisters bought a modest house outside Copenhagen called Havborg, where the Dowager Empress died in 1928. Now, contrary to popular belief, she never met the pretender Anna Anderson, who claimed to be the granddaughter of Anastasia, who had escaped the Bolsheviks' bullets. But according to the daughter granddaughter Olga, the Dowager Empress had reconciled with the death of her son and his family, and the best of Dowager Empress jewels smuggled out of the palace by British diplomat Bertie Stafford found found their way to the British royal family jewels when Queen Mary acquired them in the late 1920s. That is it for this episode. You can join me next time as we talk about Princess Alexandra of Denmark. Y'all have a great day and a happy Thanksgiving.